the toxic focus on the high value male and what the average man should be focusing on instead. All right, so I know that in the RP space, there's so much focus on being a high value man. And I'm not saying that men shouldn't strive for that, but in a way, kind of the lofty principles are somewhat akin to hitting the lottery, I suppose, in terms of becoming a millionaire or being, the kind of high value man that you see on the internet. And I want to just kind of, what I think guys should be focusing on is just putting themselves in a good financial spot when they're in their mid 30s to 40s, so they can make 2 or 3 decisions that give them a chance to shoot to the moon or to take a exponential leap. But that takes time. And I wanted to try to just show some ground numbers just so that when people are thinking about, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to be a young millionaire, the numbers just don't point to that, okay? So you have 22 million millionaires in America. This is from 2022, but let's see, a third are women. Okay, now I want you guys to look at people who are middle-aged, college-educated, and Asian have the highest chance. And it's estimated that is 22.3% of Asians with a bachelor degree will be millionaires. Now, this is clearly a highly disproportionate number, and I want to kind of show you what one of the reasons why that's the case. So you can see the median household income in the United States in 2021 for Asian Americans is more than twice it is for Black people. But you can see how high it is. And part of the reason, of course, besides deciding to go into, STEM fields and medical fields and careers that are, that are paying quite well because they're keeping pace with inflation, there's also this part of it. Look at, and we're going to look at the numbers from 20 to 24. These are marriage rates per 1,000. So 20 to 24 is not really a big deal. But when you look from 25 to 29, 133 out of 1,000. And these are numbers from 2008 to 2012. 133 per 1,000. And then from 30 to 34, 152 per 1,000. So that's even more than white people. And of course, it's like triple what it is for Black people. And you can see how high these numbers are for just marriage. And so a lot of the RP talk is about, I'm never getting married. But one of the things that this shows is that marriage is what makes high value at a younger age possible. Now, you can see the divorce numbers here. The divorce numbers at least 10 years ago were in the teens for Asian Pacific Islanders, and it was in the 40s. So that's kind of odd that these numbers are darn near matching for Black folks, but even for for white people, you're in the 30%. So it's very close to Black people. But you can see that these intact families that remain married, they're having these kinds of outcomes in terms of household income, right? And so that points to how you're getting 23% of Asian people that get college degrees turning into millionaires. I mean, that's basically 2 out of 10, or 1 out of 5, or you can barely say, it's 1 out of 4 almost. And of course, for Black people, it's, 6% of college educated are becoming millionaires, okay? Now, this is what I think is really important, is that this number here is that the average millionaire is 57 years old. It takes a lifetime to become a millionaire. And so part of my purpose for making this video is that this focus on being a high value man while you're young is almost like trying to hit the lottery. It takes a lifetime. It takes a long time and a lot of correct decisions to get that right. And I know that because I'm not going to divulge the people that I know that are high value men, but I know guys that are that, and they're old. They're in the 50s plus. It's not a couple of financial decisions, hit, and you got it. It happens, but it's not the norm for men that are high value. It takes decades of decisions and getting things right. So 62% graduated from college. Okay, here are for women. And so this is also important here, is that finance of careers most commonly held by millionaires: engineering, accounting, law, finance, technology, manufacturing, this is engineering again, healthcare. So if you're in the medical field, if you're a lawyer, a high-level accountant, those are the, or even like a technology like programming, those are the careers that are keeping pace or outpacing inflation. So if you're not in one of these careers, you need to take notice in terms of trying to be high value, because again, you even have another brick against you, because if you're working, manual labor job, or even if you're working a job that gives you a college degree, but your job is not competing against other, jobs for your labor, then you are, I wouldn't say falling behind, but it's very difficult for you to keep pace with people that are on the cutting edge of STEM jobs or medical fields or lawyers of the type, right? Right. Now, I'm going to use this as a kind of model. I want to use this as a model. So we've been through, the average income, and we've seen the marriage number. So I want to actually kind of run a model based on the baseball paradigm. And so this is a runs expectancy matrix. So if you have no runners on and no runners out, you're probably going to score about 0.5 runs on average. If you have a runner on first and second and you have 2 outs, you're going to score 4.6 runs on average. Okay? And so if you have bases loaded and you have no outs, you're going to score about 2.3 runs on average. Okay? So this is a matrix that I use, and I'm going to use this bring this up in an Excel file so we can see this. So you can see the matrix here, and you can see from the green to the red your likelihood of scoring runs, right? So what I wanted to do is I used 3 outs here, okay? The 3 outs are a kid out of wedlock, which would mean child support, and you're in a regular job that's not in one of the growth industry areas, and a divorce. So these are just going to be out. So if you get any 2 of these, you are basically, you're going to be in the lowest possible area in terms of outcomes, which would be this area here. So if you have a kid out of wedlock and you're working a manual labor job, then you're going to have 2 outs. If you have had a divorce and you're paying alimony, or you're paying child support and you're paying for you're in a divorce, you split your assets, then you're going to be in 2 outs. You're still going to be in the lower sector here. Okay. Now on the other side of that, I wanted to show for things that are going to get you first, second, and third. And clearly from the numbers, if you get married to someone who is an asset to you, someone who is going to work with you and cooperate with you, maybe even to the point where you have 2 incomes and you're living off of 1 income, that's rocket fuel. That is jet fuel for wealth. And so in the RP space, most of us are trying to do it by ourselves, but you have to understand that if you have cooperation and teamwork, you're basically hitting a triple. You got a man on third, and you got a man on third, and you're looking at these numbers with no outs, right? A man on third already. And if you are married to someone that's in one of the high earning fields, which would be the double here, I would put an X here for a double, right? X for a double here, right? And if you have no kids out of wedlock and you've managed to avoid kids out of wedlock, then you're looking at here, okay? So when we looked at the model earlier with Asians, right? So let's say that you're an Asian and you married a woman that both of you have a job that is in a high earning area, and let's say that you are working in the high value trade, and let's say that you waited till you got married to have kids, then you basically have bases loaded, right? And no kids out of, you both, no kid out of wedlock, no, you're in a growth sector and you're not divorced. That's the best possible outcome. You're going to probably get the most runs possible, right? You're going to get the maximum possibility, right? The opposite, of course, would be if you weren't married, you are working in a normal job, and you don't, you don't, or you have avoided kids out of wedlock. Okay, and let's just say that you're regular Joe, and you're not in a growth sector, so you're just regular guy. Okay, actually, I need to put a 1 there. You're a regular guy. This is where you are. Regular guy trying to get it out the mud by yourself. Right there. You don't have any assets, right? Well, let's say you don't have any kids out of wedlock, so that's better. No kids out of wedlock, you're basically going to do about a quarter as well as you could have done if you were married to someone and you were in the growth sector and you guys were cooperating and you had a cooperative marriage. So your growth in terms of your possibility for scoring runs or for financial success is just going to be a lot less than that. And so one of the reasons why I think that this video, at least I find it important to make this video, is because a lot of the RP kind of talk is focused on how much money can I make by myself, doing it by myself with my own 2 hands. And to a certain extent, there's a lot that you can do, but the pace, the maximum outcome is going to be quite different. Okay. Now let's say that you have a kid out of wedlock, and let's say that you have a high value career. Okay. So you have a kid out of wedlock, that would mean that this is gone. And let's say you have a high value trade, and we'll get rid of this one, you don't have any kids out of wedlock, that would be no. So you have a guy on second, and you have 1 out. So you're here. Like, let's say you're an engineer and you have a kid out of wedlock. You're still in better position here than you would be if you were a kid, you had no children, but you're not in a growth sector, right? Because automatically your salary is going to keep pace with inflation, even if you're paying child support. And so I can play around with these numbers, but what you can see is basically, if you are in a situation where you're getting multiple things right, no kids out of wedlock, you're in a high value trade, and you get married, you're going to basically be a millionaire by default if you don't divorce. And so if you're trying to do this without being married, then you're looking at best, you're going to get, you can't look at anything with a 3 in it. So your purview is basically from there, right? If you don't have any kids out of wedlock, you don't have any kids out of wedlock, and let's say you're a high value trade, your best outcome possible, you're looking at a 1.4, which is basically a full run less than you would get if you were married to someone who was progress oriented. And so I wanted to bring this up just to kind of point to a lot of the talk in the RP space about be a high value male, and just how in a way it's, I don't want to say unrealistic, but it is in a way unrealistic. It takes decades. We saw this. The average millionaire is 57 years old. The average millionaire is 57, right? Average millionaire, 57 years old in America. So doesn't matter what you're doing. The numbers suggest that if you're getting everything right, you're not going to be a millionaire until you're on the other side of 50, right? And close to 60. So this idea that you're going to be a high value male and you're going to get it right as a 30-year-old that's not the way it's going to work for the great majority of people that succeed. What men should be focused on, and this is one thing that I focus on, is just putting myself in the best position possible so that when I get to my decision-making years, I can make some good decisions so I can put myself into the best possible place so that I can possibly be close to a millionaire when I'm close to 50, 55, 57, 60. Because that's really the way that the game is played, okay? And so I want to end this with one other part, and you know, it talks about these millionaires and all of this. One of the things that I really take issue with is this idea that once you get, I can go full screen here, once you get all your ducks in a row, you get your money together, things are going to magically work out and you're going to have more success with women and it's going to be a lot easier. I mean, first of all, it's going to take you years to get to a big millionaire status anyways. And even when you get to millionaire status or close to it, if you're not the kind of person that's good with women or whatever, you're going to be dealing with the same issues. You're not going to automatically pay money and then boom, I get respect. I have seen it from many high value people. If they're not particularly good with women, they're going to be dealing with the similar issues just with more money. So the idea that you're going to get more respect, things are going to be easier with women, like those, I don't think that any of that's going to change. It's just going to be more magnified problems. So I think that what men should be thinking about is a holistic approach to finding someone they can build with. And I wouldn't say consolidating unless you vet them properly, but find someone you can get with and work with them and start trying to build something earlier than as early as you possibly can, because if you have cooperation and teamwork, you're going to just be able to build faster. And if you don't want to do it that way, you just have to be prepared to build a lot slower. That's just really the way it works. Unless you're in a growth industry where you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a high-end nurse, you're a high-end programmer, you're not going to get to financial freedom status very quickly. So be prepared for that. Be willing to grind, temper your expectations, and understand that you're running a marathon. And no matter how much you hear high value man, you're going to be building for a long time, and you might not be a millionaire until you're in your 50s. 50s. Be aware of that. 50s, okay? With that said, I want to thank you guys for watching the video. Take care. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.